76ers play-by-play man. And he's Tom McGinnis, who joins us now. And Tom, a big win last night for the 76ers. Welcome to the program. Did you celebrate that victory last night?
Celebrated by getting home at 3 in the morning, so not exactly, but great win for our guys, and you had to feel happy for the coaches and for all those young players who finally got to taste victory in the NBA.
Okay, you've been around an organization that historically one of the great organizations in NBA history, and you went from a team that was winning to now a team that's been the punchline here. How is it for you as the play-by-play guy, going into every single night, knowing your team probably doesn't have a good chance of winning?
Well, I mean, certainly we all understand what the plan is as far as what the Sixers are trying to do. And to be honest with you, we've been in a lot of the games. Now, honestly, you might have to say, well, I don't know if we're going to beat Dallas, even though we would always come back in these games and end up, having a costly turnover while they go back down and make a jump shot. But I think if you go back, Dan, our franchise would get in the last 4, 5, 6 years, we'd barely make the playoffs or just miss and sneak into maybe the 7th spot. And we caught a flyer the one year with the injuries to the Bulls and Rose and Noah, and came within 4 minutes of going to the conference finals, losing to Boston 3 seasons ago. And I think overall what the management and our ownership was looking to do is possibly, rebuild, which is obvious, and look for sustained success and build something lasting. And they're doing that through acquiring draft picks and free agency and as they say, acquiring assets. So everybody's on board with that. And there's still stories to tell during the course of the night. And, we just have one of the youngest teams ever in the history of the game. There's several undrafted players. So it is what it is. But, we're going forward, and they work really hard, and there's going to be something special down the road.
Does management want to win right now?
Well, I think the idea is that they're trying to develop players. I mean, they hired the absolute perfect coach in terms of Brett Brown. He has a great pedigree in that he was with San Antonio for years, and beyond that, he played for Patino. He was in Australia for years. He's like a Pied Piper, a bunch of energy, and they crank out great days practice-wise. And they're putting everything in place to when they get all their pieces. They have an injured Joel Embiid, who will play, if not this year, certainly next year. Michael Carter-Williams and Nerlens Noel are developing. They drafted a player in Dario Saric who's not going to play this year and more than likely not next year. I think that's what kind of surprised people, where they had these 2 really high picks based on last year's record and what happened with the lottery. And then there were 2 players that weren't going to play this year if Embiid does not play. So absolutely, they want to win, but at the time, this is in the NBA with the landscape. This is one of the ways to rebuild.
We're talking to Tom McGinnis. He's the play-by-play man for the 76ers, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You don't want to be in NBA limbo, and I said that I'd rather be really bad than be 500, because 500 is no man's land in the NBA. But I wouldn't want to have a franchise be accused of tanking, that you almost had this systematic, it's managerial tanking. It's not coach and players. That would bother me, though, Tom.
No, I totally understand your point, and you're right. Obviously about the players, they're trying as best they can. For these young players, this is the best job interview that anybody could ever expect, and that they're in the NBA, they're playing, they're getting opportunity in minutes. And then, but I'll say this: like, there was a poll recently by one of the radio stations in town, and the fan base in Philadelphia, which we all know is a rabid, really intelligent fan base, is actually more on board with what the Sixers are doing in terms of rebuilding and trying to get sustained success for a number of years, as opposed to what the Flyers and the Phillies are doing, where they're not retooling. So that says something right there, because the season ticket holders and the fans understand it. Now, is it maybe more difficult based on some of the things I was saying earlier than many expected? Absolutely. I don't know that we knew that we'd lose 17 games, and we're not going to go on a 17-game winning streak, but that was a decision that was made, and this is how it's working.
Over under 9.5 wins.
Oh, I don't get into that. I just we play so hard. I'll say this, and certainly a lot of teams were, now they rest players against us from time to time. We didn't face Nowitzki, and obviously Duncan and Parker didn't play the other night, and that happens. but they don't want to play. I mean, Minnesota was game planning in the middle of the day yesterday trying to face the Sixers. But we play so hard, on a given night and during the course of a long NBA season, you get some teams that don't bring it. We're going to beat just based on that. So, but we have to learn how to finish games. We don't shoot the ball well. Our statistics offensively are near the bottom or at the bottom of the league. That makes it difficult. But, we're getting close, and, a coach is talking, and not just coach speak, but the guys are getting better. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully we can get a couple. We have, you just kind of circle some dates, to be honest with you, and there's a few coming up here down the road.
What's Joel Embiid's progress update?
Well, he broke a bone right before the draft in his foot, and, that was projected to be like a 6-month injury, and they're going to use an abundance of caution, just as they did with Nerlens Noel. He travels with the team. I mean, he's going through everything that an NBA player goes through except for playing, which is that's where you get the experience. And I think that's what Nerlens Noel is learning as he gets better every game. But he went for over a year and a half without playing after being injured as a freshman at Kentucky. But I got to tell you, he's a guy that I think can really bring this whole thing together. That's what he does now. He casually shoots. I mean, he just got out of a boot not that long ago, and he's a player, and it's hard to compare, but where like San Antonio got a Tim Duncan, and look what happened over the last 14, 15 years. That's the type of player that you can have your franchise build around for many years to come. I think he has a chance to be really good, and again, whether he plays this year or not remains to be seen, but he doesn't fall to the Sixers at 3 if he didn't break his foot just prior to the draft.
Does losing affect you personally?
Not at all. I mean, I love this game, and I love being with this organization in this city. And, it's trite, and it's been said before, but my longtime friend with Cleveland, Joe Tate, did the games for the Cavs for over 35 years. And he used to say in a gravelly voice, "Die that God, they don't put your name in the box score." But you want it for our fans, and you want it for the players and the coaches. It's more fun, frankly. I'm sure they all have a little more pep in their step here today, but not at all. In the end, you do the best you can. Whether you've done a good broadcast or not, and you can't affect the outcome. But obviously, you're a more popular broadcaster when, guys are running and dunking and you're screaming and whatnot. But no, it doesn't affect me personally.
Have fun. Good to visit with you, Tom.
Thanks
for joining us.
Yeah, as I say, it's not the first time when you were on ESPN back in, I believe, 1985. My first job was in television in Charleston, and you won a trivia contest at this minor league baseball game at College Park in Charleston, and it was Dan Patrick from Bristol, Connecticut, and you went back of the house to receive whatever, a bag of popcorn, and I thought, well, this has got to be Dan Patrick, and it was.
Yeah.
And I turned you into my buddy's restaurant, and you guys ended up going there after the game.
I think I saw Cliff Floyd play in a game down there.
Yes, yep, he was with the Albany Polecats, and Roberto Alomar played there. I mean, it was great to see young players. You could tell the man amongst boys, that the ones that were going to be really good.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, Dan.
Tom McGinnis, 76ers play-by-play man.